You are live, it says. Well, hello and welcome. The voice. The voice is everything. The voice, sound, how you use it, and what you were given that voice to do with is what we're going to be speaking about tonight. Our guest is a leading lady who is all about the voice. In fact, so much so that she started, and she's a founder of the World Voice League. Oh, it sounds good. And we're going to be talking about that. I am Joy Ruffen, signature style specialist, professional speaker, and the creator of Leading Ladies Leaving Legacies. I work with women who are in their second act, who are tired of struggling with styling themselves and spending way too much money. So I help them to develop, uncover their signature style that fits their personality and their successful lifestyles. So there's a lot going on there. But every week I bring you a leading lady who has had her journey to date full of internal and external transitions. And that's what we talk about every Wednesday night. So I'm delighted that you're here and happy that you're joining us. Let me say that this leading lady tonight is going to share a lot of really good information with you. Sometimes we think that our story is just our story and that it belongs to us and we don't want to share it. But sharing is blissful because there you're able to connect and relate to many other people. So let me bring up our guest tonight. Our guest tonight is, let me bring her up. Ooh, what did I do? I didn't add. There you are. Hello. How are you, Altovise?
I am doing well. How are you?
Oh, I'm just fantastic. Pronounce your last name for us. I forgot to do that.
Pelzer.
Pelzer. Altovise Pelzer. Now, listen, I mentioned that you are all about the voice. And why is what you're going to share with us now, because the voice is an instrument that's powerful. So tell us how you came to tap into the power of your voice and you founded this league.
Well, I have to always start off by saying that I was muted. And I went through a process of becoming unmuted, but I was muted because of homelessness. I was muted because of divorce. I was muted because of molestation. And so becoming unmuted, it took a lot. Like, it didn't happen overnight. And it's interesting because a lot of people look at me and they see me online and they hear me speak on stage and they're like, oh no, she has the podcast and all these wonderful things. But I'm an introvert.
Stop right there. Stop right there. Ooh, I hear a sound coming from here. What is that? Because a lot of people think that to be an introvert, that you can't be out in the lead and you can't be a leader. And there's no truth to that whatsoever. You can lead being an introvert. And the other thing that you mentioned is appearances. Now, I work as a signature style specialist. So image is important, but not to the degree that people think it is, because there's so much more involved. There's so much more involved. So tell us a little bit more. I'm going to put on my earbuds and see if that takes out that sound that I heard before. It was horrific. And let's go from there. Tell us a little bit more about how you came to do the work that you're doing now, which I think is fantastic.
So in 2015, I made a decision that 2016 was going to be my year, which can probably relate to a lot of the stories and the leading ladies that are listening in today or may catch this via the replay.
Yes.
Because guess what? We said 2020 was our year. 2020 was supposed to be different. We were supposed to leave jobs, start businesses, publish books. And let's just be honest, 2020 doesn't look like what we have on paper.
Not at all.
For me, 2015, I said, you know what, 2016 is my year. It was after having a conversation with my oldest daughter about trust. And it was the first time in 35 years that I actually went and told someone that I had been molested as a child. Now, I am also the mother of two victors who are over molestation, my girls. And then I was a victor over molestation, but I had never told my story. I was muted. And with everything that I had gone through in life, it caused me to be more and more silent. When it came to using my voice, I felt like my voice wasn't relevant.
And you had no your girl were.
Yeah, it was. So I had found out about them being molested at the time when they were molested. They were 3 and 5, and I found out about it, and it took our whole family into a whirlwind of changes and big leaps and jumps. But this was just one of the many conversations that I had to have with them, and it was a difficult one, but it sparked something. My daughter later told me that that was her most proud moment, was me telling her that I had been molested as well, because she felt like she was not alone.
And you didn't tell her about shame.
I didn't tell anyone else. Like, it had just come out in the conversation. Like, it wasn't even a planned moment. You know how sometimes we have those planned moments where
Yes.
we're like, we're going to perfectly say it and kind of document the reaction. No.
Seldom.
It was not one of those moments, guys. I'm crying, she's crying. It was interesting.
What age were you, Altovise? What age were your girls at that time when they told you that they had been?
Oh, I found out when it, like, not maybe like a year after it started happening. So I found out early on, thankfully, and we were able to get the young man help, because we actually found out that he had been molested as a child as well.
That's
It's a horrible ripple effect, that it's literally generations and generations have been going through it. And, we said the buck stops here.
Yes.
It's not going past this. But we had to deal with it in that moment. And a lot of women, unfortunately, I've found that they go into their 50s and 60s and 70s and even to their grave, never telling a soul that they were molested or raped, because they feel as though nobody will believe them, or that it's not valid. Their story has no value.
It's a combination, I think, of that. And I think there's a lot of shame involved too, because as we've heard so many who have gone through this mention, they think that it's all on them.
Exactly.
That they were the cause of it. And you knew after the fact, when you discovered that your girls had too, that you had to come up and start to use your voice. I think that's so powerful. And in addition to sharing with them what you had gone through and helping them to get through what they have to go through, you decided to find or put together this league. How did you come to that? I think that's brilliant.
So remember, I told you guys earlier on, I'm the introvert, right? Yeah. So I'm the behind the scenes person. I motivate everybody else to be out in the forefront. Well, I said 2016, I was going to go ahead and step into the forefront of my business. I was going to rebrand, and I was going to go and speak on stages and help other women. And December 31st of 2015, I was evicted from my home. Now, that doesn't seem like a great entry point for 2016.
No.
That doesn't seem like a great entry point for 2016 at all. But just hold on, because I'm going to tell you why it was so significant for me to go through that. January 1st, I had a flight planned, and I had a decision to make. Now, prior to this, when something would happen, I would shut down. Woe is me. Nothing good ever happens for me. I would go back into my bubble, curl up into my ball, and just, no, I cancel things. And this was the first time that I said, you know what? I'm still going to move forward. And let me tell you what it did.
What brought that outlook on? I don't know what's going on with this sound. I'm going to be trying something while you speak to that. But what brought that on? What precipitated that complete, total turnaround? What happened there?
So one of the things was when I started, after telling my daughter my story, and I started going online and live streaming and telling other people my story, I saw that other women needed that support. They needed that guidance. They needed to see somebody else step out of that zone And I said, okay, well, if not me, then who? One of the things that you'll learn about me is my favorite story is the story of Esther. Maybe you were called for such a time as this. And so if not me, then who? And it was interesting because when I stepped out, I take my first flight, no problems. I take my second flight, my layover, there's no group number on my ticket. So I'm an introvert, but I'm also a creative. I can create stories in my head at the drop of a dime. In my mind, it was a fake ticket. I was going to jail. TSA was going to arrest me.
Not funny.
The TSA was going to hem me up. But I go to the booth. I let them know that I don't have a group number on my ticket. They said, no problem, go in with group 2. So I'm like, great. They call group 2. I go ahead. I get in line with group 2. And then I hear my name over the loudspeaker. So, I'm like looking around for TSA. I'm looking to see if there's like a helicopter outside with the TSA like helicoptering down. They're going to get me. And it's the worst, you guys. I am.
No. Not fun at all at that time.
In my mind, I'm getting arrested in another city and state. Nobody's going to know where I am. So I get back over to the booth and they hand me a brand new ticket, and the new ticket is first class.
Oh.
That literally set the standard for me moving forward, because I never knew where my blessing was going to come from. I never knew when an upgrade was going to be in position if I just take that step forward.
And that was the impetus for you to start this league?
Yes. One of the things that I saw was that people all over the world, first and foremost, have some amazing stories. Absolutely. I've been able to connect with people in Scotland, in Canada, in Africa, in the UK, in Australia, in like so many different places. And the stories, they listen to my story and they say, wow, that resonates with me because ... I your story touched my heart because ... Well, no matter what the ... is, we all have something that connects us.
Absolutely. And I think most people forget that. They think that they hold things in because they think no one else thought that. No one else felt that. No one else is about that. But yet there's zillions out there who want to hear that they're not alone, that others have felt and thought the same thing. Now, you are teaching people how to use their voice. Tell us a little bit about how you go about that.
So I am such the introvert, you guys, and I love doing things different. I stand out probably for a lot of the wrong reasons, because I don't fall into the typical view of a speaker. I don't fall into the typical stereotype of a podcaster. I just don't. I've been known to eat dessert first. Like, I'm just different.
I'm only laughing because you said something earlier that's so true for people who are introverts and as well for extroverts too. Very, very creative. Yeah. And that creativity tends to have its own structure, its own outline. And so you tap dance in that. And you create your own environment, your own circle, and make it yours. And that's, for me, and for most people who are creative, the highest compliment to what creativity is all about. And I often think of Einstein. Everybody knows Einstein, who for years and years and years dabbled in this, that, and the other, and finally had his light bulb, whatever. But that's good, because you don't have to follow the tribe, which is what the majority of people do. So I applaud you for that, because I'm not saying that it's easy, and you're not going to say it's easy either, but you just moved to your own drum beat, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, indeed.
Now, when working with women, helping them with their voice, what would you say, Altovise, would be the number one issue that you help them to uncover and develop?
One of the things that I found is so valuable is that your story should be the cornerstone of everything you do.
I love that. Mm-hmm.
And when we forget that piece, we find ourselves trying to be a replica of someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So what ends up happening is a lot of women will go and they'll buy different programs and they'll take different classes thinking that I can just go ahead and emulate what they did. I can go ahead and just, go ahead and take on their persona and then I'm going to have the same success as them. And I tell people that's not how this goes. That's not how any of this goes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your individuality is what sells. Your individual story is what connects you with your clients and your audience. And when you are bold enough to share your story, you will find that people will come to you instead of you chasing down $1. And so it's hard to get people to change and see that perspective. But when they see that perspective, they also see a change in their lives. They see a change in how they value their time. They see a change in how their business grows and elevates. They see a change in everything. And I tell people that because I had to go through that same change. I network different. Everybody thinks of networking as, handing out 500 business cards. That made me cringe. Like I would go to networking events and sit in the corner. I told y'all I'm the introvert. I would sit in the corner and I would go and buy all these business cards and I would go and do nothing with them. But I had to find different things for me to be able to tap into my zone of genius, my zone of greatness, my genius. We always talk about, if you ask a fish to climb a tree, it's going to seem like something's wrong with the fish, but that's their zone.
You mentioned several things that I want to piggyback on because they're very important, and most everyone who knows me know that Maya Angelou is one of my mentors and a really phenomenal lady. And she spoke to what you had to say in a different way because the words that are out and about now, pivot, change, transformation, we're all about that. You mentioned change and being bold enough. Courageous was one of her favorite words. And we as women, it's our time to stand up, step out, and be courageous. Make boo-boos, make mistakes, get egg on our face, whatever happens, but just continue onward because it is our time. And so you mentioned how you are introverted, but yet you did things very, very different from what everybody else was doing. And your story has to be the pivotal centerpiece of what you're projecting and sending out there because people want to see if they have any similarities like you, so they can connect. Because if they don't, then they feel whatever they feel, which is usually not on point, but it's how they feel, and feelings are everything. So that said, that's how you have to connect with people. When did you, after this moment when you decided to make the change and put together this league that you have, when did it come to you that working with women predominantly, I'm assuming, am I wrong that you predominantly work with women?
No, you're correct.
That they needed to help, you needed to help them find their story to get out into the atmosphere. How did that come to you?
There is many different stereotypes in the entrepreneurial and podcasting industries.
Indeed.
The coaching industries.
Yes.
Where women just do not fare as high as men.
Mm-hmm.
Coming into the industry, a lot of people talked about women being catty and you not being able to work with women and women not being able to work together. And these are the things that are being not only put out into the atmosphere when it comes to business, but these are things that are being told to our young children. These are the things that are being told to our teenagers and our young adults. And it's just not true. Everyone is an individual. Like you have to look at people as the individual that they are and understand who they are is everything that they've been through everything that they've endured, everything that they've learned and overcome, and even some of the things that they didn't overcome.
Yes.
And I cannot devalue who you are when you come into my space. But I also have to be careful about, and this is something that I love that Eric Thomas always talks about, is you have to be very careful about the expectations you're putting on people, because they're your expectations.
Yes.
That person doesn't even know them.
That's beyond wisdom, way beyond wisdom. And I want to get back to that, but I'm going to take a quick break and then I'm going to get right back to you. So hold tight. Don't go anywhere. Don't you love this? This sound is going to drive me up the wall, but I refuse to do whatever I need to do at this moment to correct it. What can I say? We're talking about the voice, and the voice is everything, but we're talking more than the voice, which is your instrument. We're talking about why so many men and women have found themselves muted, and it's time to uncover that and open up. So our guest tonight is sharing a lot about her personal story, which you can connect and relate to. But here's what I want to do is extend to you an invitation to join me every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. for Leading Ladies, Leading Legacies. You have a story to share, and people want and need to hear your story. And every week when I come to you with this leading lady who has gone through her transformation, Altovise is sharing with you her transformation. And she's also sharing with you, which I speak to all the time. She's an introvert or an extrovert. It doesn't matter. The story is still there and people need to hear it. So I invite you to join the Leading Ladies, Leading Legacies group and join us here every Wednesday night. And every Wednesday night before I leave, I will leave you with a little tip that will help you in the discovery of your signature style. But for now, by the way, sign in with Style, STYLE, and your complimentary booklet will be delivered to you right away. Now, back to Altovise. You know, what you're sharing with us is really, really very powerful. And I love it that I think you're probably the first guest that I've had who acknowledged that she's an introvert. I think that's very powerful. You won't believe this. I don't think anybody except those who really, really know me, that inside I probably am an introvert too, but I love this medium that we're on now. And I heard you and I had a little conversation before. So do you. So how much and how many of the people that you've connected with have you connected with via online marketing? Because it is, Altovise, the wave of the now, not the future, now, right now. Yes?
So one of the things that I laugh about is I was very, very against live streaming. Because I am such the introvert, guys. I was so nervous that my first couple live streams, I would literally be rocking back and forth. Or there was a couple of them. I used to have a stool that I sat on, and I would be swinging my feet back and forth. Okay? Like a little kid.
I hear you loud and clear.
Like a little kid. I would be swinging my feet back and forth like a little kid because I was so nervous. But one of the things that I learned about live streaming was that it was a great way for me to be able to step out as an introvert because I didn't have to see everybody's face. It was me and the little Perry ma'am on Periscope. Shout out to all of the people that have been following since the Periscope days. But that was a way that I started connecting with people all over the world. That was a way that I started being able to tap into, not just, and this is one of the greatest things, and this is the hack. For those of you that know me, y'all know I love giving hacks because listen, the hacks will take you far. But this is one of the ways that I started hacking into being able to speak on stages. It was one of the ways that I hacked into being able to do a podcast. Because if you can handle the trolls on Periscope, you can handle standing on a stage in front of 150 to 200 people.
Absolutely. What are the groups that you speak to mainly? What type of groups do you speak to? Is it universal, a little bit of everything? Or do you have a particular tribe or group that you speak to mainly?
So it's been universal, but my main group that I speak to are women entrepreneurs. What I found is that a lot of times as women entrepreneurs, we get stuck in the shiny object syndrome, right? And we
Oh,
kind of go from person to person, coach to coach, program to program, because we're not bold enough to really stand in our uniqueness. We're not bold enough to stand in who it is that we are. And so we kind of want to get this modge posh of, let me take a little bit from here and a little bit from there. But the reality is that sometimes when you take in a little bit and a little bit, that don't taste too good.
I love your message. I'm so glad we're connected. Let me tell you, I do my own trolling and I pick out people that I want to connect with and interview. You are speaking my mindset, my outlook, my mantra, my outlook, because women, it is our time. And the reason that I label myself as a signature style specialist is based on what you just said. Every woman is unique. Let's all stop running around trying to look like the other. And fashion is fickle. And so you've got to find you, whatever that is you, but that means you got to kick it up a notch and elevate and so on. But you can't be Michelle Obama, Oprah, and Taylor Swift, whoever. You got to be you, but you have to find out who you are. Be you. That's the expression, but it's true. And that's why I applaud what you're doing, because you're speaking to women all over the country and you're sharing with them your story, allowing them to be themselves. And that's what we all have to be about. So I think it's just stupendous, the work that you're doing. And I applaud you. And I'm so glad that we're connected. Time flies here. So before we say so long, you shared so much with us about your story, the homelessness and the molestation and all of that. And yet you're still standing and you're here. And I say, bravo, bravo. What is it that you want to leave men and women with that will be impactful and powerful and memorable for them as they move onward?
I've been saying this more and more as we go throughout the year. And it's interesting because it goes against what other people would normally say. Normally people say, well, try it, test it out. And I'm going to say, no, go bold. Jump with both feet. Jump with both feet and give it 150%, 100 and listen, give it 200%. Give it your all. What we find out is that as individuals, when we just put our toe in it and it doesn't work, then we say, oh, well, I knew it wasn't going to work anyway.
I think that piggybacks, I speak for myself because I know, being a perfectionist, knowing there's no such animal, that what you said is be bold, and someone else, what was his name? Harvey, somebody, take the leap, jump, because you're going to make mistakes. And like here tonight, I don't know what the heck is going on with the sound on my end, because but you just continue. You just keep going. You don't stop, because you're going to look like what some would consider my husband calls it numb nut all the time, but that's okay, because you're not, and life goes on. Mistakes happen, and you just keep plugging on. So you couldn't leave us with a better word of advice. And that being said, how can people contact you? What's the best way to contact you? I think I have here your email.
Yes, ma'am. And they can definitely send me an email. I would love to hear your story. I would love to share your story. One of the things that I'm very big on is sharing out stories from women all over the world, be it a business tip, be it your personal journey. I want to share your story because somebody in the world needs your voice. We forget how powerful our voice is, but I want to leave you with this. Think about this. When you went outside as a child and your mother called you, everybody in the neighborhood knew your mother's voice from everybody else's. And by the tone of their voice, they knew if you were in trouble or if it was just time to come in for dinner, because your voice is significant. Understand, your voice, yes, you, is very powerful, unique, and it's significant.
I love that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm all about blending the old school and the new, and you just brought back the old and the new in a wonderful way. So I thank you. I'm going to put you in the green room for just a second while I say so long, and I'll be with you in just a moment. So hold tight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What can I say? Time just flies here, and this computer and this sound, oh my. But what I want you to do is this. I want you to join the Facebook group, Leading Ladies, Leading Legacies. We're going to get everything straightened out here sooner than later. And as I quoted the other day, everything old or everything new becomes old again and vice versa. That's what has to be said. Join the group. And also put in the comments style, STYLE, and get your complimentary brochure. And if you have a story to share, just like Altovise said, connect with her and connect with me, because we're all about sharing stories that will help all of us become more courageous and bold, her verbiage, because it's so important. It is our time. I'd like to leave you with this little tip, because every week I want to leave you with a tip. I didn't ask her about her style because her topic, her content was so juicy. Your best strategy is always about learning how to shop for value without compromising style. Quality and value is much more important than just style, trendy, popular, current stuff. So keep that in mind. Join me every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. right here, same station, same time. Thank you for being here, each and every one of you. And those of you who come for the replay, enjoy. And whatever you do, connect and get in touch with Altovise. She has a fantastic story, a great league that you can become a part of and be instrumental in what she's putting out into the universe. All good. You be well, stay safe, and look after you first, because only then are you going to be able to look after others. Have a great week. Enjoy the weekend. All the best. So long for now. Cheers.